Hey, so welcome to the Tony and Nicki Saturday Night Live here, 10 p.m. Actually, we've already decided next week we're going to do it at 7 o'clock because the whole 10 o'clock thing is great. It's the 10-10 movement and all of that is all wonderful. We love doing it. Probably should have done it at 10 past 10 and all of that. But anyway, look, next week.
Yeah, because we're watching this great film tonight and we got really embroiled in it. We're on a very, very healthy eating thing. So we did the only thing you can do with Saturday night and had a pizza.
Yeah.
So we're having watching this wonderful film, and then suddenly I was like, "Oh my goodness me, we're going to forget if we're not careful." So we did decide that 10 o'clock's too late for us. Sound like old people.
I've had two people say to me, "Look, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I don't know what's happening.
I mean,
We're going to bed at 9
I think
o'clock."
It's the whole lockdown.
It's the healthy people. No, it's there.
Or maybe it's people going to bed early for loving time.
Well, that's very true. That's a possibility.
Which could be it. But we are here in our boudoir, in our bedroom, and we thought tonight we'll get our dressing gowns on and get into bed and chat to you on air.
Yeah, so look, this is
questions come in and everything.
Yeah, this is obviously Tony Nicki Live, so all about intimate relationships and any challenges you got now. It's like a live Q&A, so please feel free to type away. Depends if you're watching it on Facebook. I know you can be watching it on different Facebook channels because we're all over the shop, and obviously you could be live on YouTube on the 1010 Movement YouTube channel. So type away, but look, if we can't see, because you can't necessarily see on all platforms what comes in, but you can definitely go to YouTube. If you're typing in Facebook and we're not seeing it, then type away in YouTube. You should see the link there somewhere, yeah? So,
and say hello, please. Let us know you're here. So, should we kick off with some of the questions?
Yeah, indeed. Can't see who is on, but anyway, look, yeah. So, our big questions for the week. And I don't know if you've ever been in this situation. I have certainly been in this situation actually 3 times in my life in relationship
issues. I can't believe
issues.
I'm concerned what you're going to say.
Yeah, which is the question of when you're in a relationship where somebody is like a different age band to you. You know what? How does that work? So I've said 3 because I've been with two women that are basically older than me by 6 or 7 years, and I've been with one lady that was 10 years younger than me, and of course my amazing wife and myself are, we're about a year apart. But I'm the elder. I am the elder.
But actually, now you said that, which is actually quite useful that you pondered over that, because I was thinking, and I've actually been in a relationship with someone 10 years older than me, and I've also been in a relationship with someone much, much younger than me. So we can talk from experience. Anybody who's on here doesn't know us, we are Tony and Nicki Vee, as it were. We've been the relationship coaches for nearly 18 years now, basically, since we've been together. And so often what we do in order to assist people is to share if we've had some personal experience of that. So to share what we've been. Yeah,
so it's an easy way to kick it off, because look, I think personal experience is good, but particularly what you learn. So if you think about every situation,
only what you've learned. Yeah,
every situation is a learning situation, isn't it? And it's an opportunity to learn. So, but I think actually the question which came in from Laura was more of a generational gap, because look, if you're much more like 6 years either way, maybe even 10 years. But I always go, look, if you were born in the 60s, for example, and then you meet someone that was born in the 90s, that is you look 30 years difference. What are the consequences of that? And I think there's a few. Look, is there a good or bad or right or wrong? In reality, I don't believe there is. But I do think this is a bit contentious. But I do believe that there is a bit of a mix-up between the 2 4-letter words that both begin with L. Do you know what they are?
Well,
Come on, let's have a go.
Love.
Yes.
Lust.
Yes, very good, very good. You all knew that, didn't you? I've been with you too long. So look, I think people get confused about this feeling we feel when we're sort of feel like we're magnetically attracted to another person. So I do believe, well, I think lust is lust one of the 7 deadly sins?
Yes.
It is like, so it's like the antipathy of love. Yeah. So how do you tell the difference? And I think this is a really interesting point. So look, if you've been in a relationship which is sort of like had a magnetic start and then some sort of explosion that's thrown you apart to a big negative, then please have a bit of a share what that was like for you. What was the catalyst of the coming together and what was the catalyst of the moving apart? And I think if there's a big gap, then the risk of it being not love. But how do you look? I've asked thousands of people, haven't I? I used to ask it to everyone that ever came to our events. I used to ask them several questions, but the last question was always, what does the word love mean to you? So look, you could grab a piece of paper and a pen and just go, what does the word love, it's only a 4-letter word, I can spell 4-letter words because I'm dyslexic, but what does that word mean to you truly? Now, look, the answer is there isn't really a right or wrong. It means what it means to you. And I've never had 2 people ever write the same thing. That everybody's got their own, what I call, model of what the word love means. But I think, from my old days when I were in these relationships which had a sort of bigger gap, what I recognise about myself now is that I had a meaning or created a meaning of the word love, which really isn't what it is. It's not what it is. So what is love? How do you define it? Well, look, it sounds all a bit heavy, but look, there's a simple way to think about it is if the connection that you're feeling here is you being attached to something outside of yourself, then I would question that. Let's call it a lower level of love rather than a higher level of love. A more expanded version of the word love is where you are experiencing love inside yourself. Look, the truth is, all of the great teachers of the planet, from, Krishna to Buddha to Jesus to Muhammad, all spoke about the word love, and the word love really, they all said the same. Which is, you go within to find love. Now, I do believe if you can connect with that love that they taught about, which I do believe not many people can do, then you, when you're in that place and you connect with somebody else doing the same, that's what I have come to believe the word love really means.
Yeah, so maybe, sorry, did you finish?
No, where I was going, when I was in my early days and I didn't know that, hadn't had the experience of that, I was absolutely looking for love outside of myself. And I think that love is a little bit more, you could call it lusting, because you're looking for the attention and connection with somebody else, probably doing the same. Yeah?
Absolutely. And are you saying that, first of all, I wanted to say, please do type in the comments something that you might be willing to share is, what does love mean to you?
Yeah.
But what I was thinking you were saying here is that when there's an age difference, there might be a massive difference between what that person's wanting to experience in that relationship. And as you say, and I don't actually think this is dependent on age. I think that there could be a situation where one person's looking for love, the other one is looking for their lustful needs to be met. But actually, one of the things I was going to say about the age difference is just to, obviously, if Laura's on here, please do pop comments in the box. Do we think the comments are working? Because we don't seem to have any at the moment.
Nobody's commenting,
anyway,
maybe we're rabbiting too much. They might be commenting on Facebook, and if you are, we might not be seeing those.
Sorry about
Although
that.
it is saying it's
still a bit techno at the moment.
But hey, look, it's all
but
good.
Anyway, so what I was thinking about, which is what are the difficulties with an age difference? So let me just think about what we've come across in times gone by. With the couples that we've coached over the years. Well, the main difference I've come across that I can think of, and this is true for the relationship I was in as well, is in different generations, and I think you are right, but even 10 years for me, when I was with someone who was 10 years older, whether that meant that they were sort of in a different generation that they weren't, I was kind of middle-aged, they were sort of later middle-aged, clearly. was that we wanted different things from life.
Yeah, I agree.
There was like
also, if you've got children, this is interesting. There's like a big age gap between the kids. Yeah. So often we blended families. If you're in a second relationship, third relationship, then obviously, like if there's a big disparity, like somebody's got young kids, somebody's got teenagers. This Absolutely. Is like it can just be funky. You know, it's like it's
more than funky. I mean, what we've come across, and this has sometimes been an age thing. I'm just thinking of that couple that we worked with in London. Where, you know, he got grown-up children with children, and she'd got not young children, but, you know, like younger children. And they're in a blended relationship.
Then they got a child
with a big difference in age, and like 5 or 6 kids, if you like, you know, a wide range of it. But the thing I meant about wanting different things in life is if I look at, like, say, my son and his wife, you know, what they were looking for from life in their early 20s, but compared to their early 30s, compared to their now coming towards the 40 mark, completely different. But they're obviously similar ages. And I think that it takes a lot of understanding of each other to make a relationship with a big age group. Age gap.
I definitely don't think it's wrong. I think there's probably some fantastic examples out there. You know, probably
I'm sure.
You know, people that have been together a long time that have got, you know, a massive difference of age.
Well,
groups.
I saw someone on the telly, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and she's with Michael Douglas, and he's, I think, almost like 20 years older than him or something. But I think the question wouldn't have been asked if it was going really well. Yeah. Likely question is, you know, when we get questions, it's normally because something's not working. So sometimes I think it's because they want different things out of life. Secondly, definitely, as you said, honey, different age groups of kids, things like that, but also different interests. You know, maybe depending on this, whether the age gap is early age gap or later age gap, you could be in a situation whereby if it's earlier on, younger age, the one person is much more ready to settle down. That person might be much more interested in having kids, getting a home, you know, all those sorts of things. The other person might be still wanting to go out on a Friday night and Saturday night. But as you get older, again, you might be thinking of slowing down or, you know, retiring kind of thing. Whereas that's what happened for me, is I was like definitely not ready to think about slowing down. And my boyfriend, who was 10 years older, was just looking, he was selling his business. He was looking to he lived in a sort of quite a, you know, country village, you know, looking to really, even though he liked to travel and things like that, looking to settle there for life. And I'm going, bloody hell, I'm not ready for that.
I think there's a practical thing you can do. So again, look, grab a piece of paper and a pen, because it doesn't matter if there's a big age gap in your relationship or you're thinking of, like, you may be, you know, on the edge of having a relationship that's got a big age gap, or even it's just, you know, you're in a relationship and it is what it is right now. There's one thing to check in where, you know, you're checking in to see if this relationship is a good fit. We call it the relationship check. And honestly, like, it's a few questions. Nicki will remember the questions better than me. So she's just going to ask you.
She's hoping.
Yeah, she will ask you the questions. But look, I just remember being in a relationship with a much younger woman. Yeah, this is 10 years difference. Yeah, and it all felt really good. You know, we were like a few months in. It was coming great. There was, you know, that, you know, some people call it the honeymoon period.
Was this?
And it was an international. No, but it was an international relationship. She'll know who that is. Yeah, I remember going there and she was coming here, and she had, look, my kids were all well in their teens, and they were well in their teens, and we were perhaps a bit disconnected from a divorce as well. So things weren't the easiest time then, you know, it can be like. And then I get in the relationship with this lady, and she has a child at the time, was about 7 or 8, yeah. And so this was a massive difference where, you know, I'd had those years with my kids, and now I'm sort of back in that world where that's happening.
Yeah, and you said she was really looking for a father.
In many ways, yeah. So anyway, I decided one day to do this relationship check. We've been together about 6 months, and I sat down and I answered the question. Nicki's going to share the questions
I
So
am.
come on, get your pens out and just write the questions down. You don't have to answer them now, because actually it took me 4 hours to answer them. I thought, I'm going to do this properly. I've been in 2 relationships that haven't really worked out long term, and now I'm going into another one, and it's like, I just want to check that I'm not being that maybe lustful person that doesn't want to be on his own. Guys are like that, I'm sure guys, if you're on, you're going, yeah, look, we don't really like being alone. We want to be, sleeping with a woman at night and that sort of stuff, if you're heterosexual, of course. And so, yeah, but on the other hand, I'm just really wanting to check whether this is a good thing. Because look, when relationships go wrong, it's like a lose-lose, really. There's no winners. And when there's kids involved, they lose too. So you could have like triple lose situation. And I've sort of been there before. I don't want to cause anybody any more pain than I already have. So I decided to do this, answer these questions. And then I remember going to work and coming home that day because I was in another country. I was in her flat. And then she said, what have you been doing all day? And I said, actually, look, on your desk, I found this book. Yeah, and in there was these questions about relationships. So I've typed it all up on your computer. I've answered it. It would be absolutely great for us if you did the same. Now, I just remember her being very, very, very resistant to this. I mean, seriously resistant. But in the end, I sort of talked her into it. And she spent a couple of hours separately. Now, what you're supposed to do afterwards, if you're in a relationship, you're then supposed to come together and sort of share. Yeah. Now, she lived near the River Rhine. And so I remember one day, the young lad was at school, and we've gone for a walk down the River Rhine, which was only down the road. Sat on a bench. It was all very nice, And it was sort of in the countryside a bit, Anyway, it was all nice. So, and then I've got my document, which is quite large. It took me 4 hours, I say. She took 2 hours. And anyway, I started to share. And she started to share. And then it became really clear to me. Really clear that this was not what I would call, loosely I call it more a real love. Let's just call it real love, which is where, like the love I described at the beginning is 2 people in a place of love within themselves sharing that energy. Whereas the lower level, which we would call love, like we say, oh, I love you, but actually it's a need to be connected to someone else. It's a more lustful type of love, not the same experience at all. And anyway, as we sort of started to share, to me, it became blatantly obvious that this actually was the latter, it's not the good one, it's the not good one, yeah, which tend to not have the longevity that you would love to have in a great relationship. So anyway, then as she started to realise this, she then started to cry. So I always go, look, I did the only thing you could do, knowing this is not a good situation. We shouldn't really be in this relationship, but she's crying. So I did the only thing you can do in that situation, and I got us to move in together. So that is like mental. I'll tell that story, but it's absolutely the truth. Because I felt
so true that I felt often people do that to try and mend a relationship. It's so not.
And honestly, so I often say to people, how long do you think it lasted? So she moved from Germany, came to live here, and bless it, we lasted about 6 weeks, and she had to go back home. It was horrible, And she's lovely. She's a lovely girl. But this was not. No. This isn't love at the highest level where it's got longevity. And look, even though the writing was on the wall, we still wanted to try it on, because it's like it meets your needs, but not at a very high level. So the idea of the test, now I know you want to know what the questions are now, so I shut up and go, ask Nicki. Look, when I met Nicki, let me just tell you this. When I met Nicki,
just going to tell him about
go on, you tell him then. It's
I was
embarrassing.
Just going, of course, because he did this test with this girl, and it made it so obvious that they weren't, right for each other. And then she cried and he moved in with her, kind of thing, or she moved in with him. When we got together, it was so interesting because we got together, we'd met each other a few times, won't go into the great long story. It was quite a romantic situation. And literally, I was telling somebody about this week when they were talking about, will my knight in shining armor ever come along? And I said, well, I was probably, my story of how I spent a year getting myself ready is quite well known. And, Tony literally said to me when we got to, the first night we started talking about being together, he said, oh, I know we're going to be married and we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. So I think absolutely fantastic, typical girl. Can't believe this is happening. I'm so, oh gosh.
It's like a whirlwind.
It's a whirlwind. It's exactly how I love it to be and all that sort of thing. And then he goes, but you've got to do the test.
I'm going, well, hold on a minute. This is all too quick. Maybe I need to do the test.
And I'm going, what?
Guess what she did?
I cried.
She cried.
Because I'm like going, I thought this was
Women are going,
like,
you horrible man. How could you do that?
Yeah. Anyway, it was fine because I cried. We went, you were going home, weren't you? We were in Malaysia. You were going home and we're going to the airport. We get to the airport, we're waiting for your flight, and you went, so, we need to do this test. I'm like, I don't want to do a test. Sounds really, really scary. What happens if I don't pass the test? I'm a deep profile woman. I like to pass everything, all my tests. Anyway, so long story short, we talked about the questions. Tony flew away, was going home to London, then out to Maui or whatever. And then when he came back 10 days later, we got together and we answered the questions.
Yeah,
and
because actually, look, honestly, wherever
Yeah.
you are in your relationship world, I encourage you to answer these questions.
Yeah.
Come on, look.
So let's do it.
They've got their pens ready.
Yeah,
They're all
right,
hot and
absolutely.
ready to go.
Yeah, hot too. Right. So, first question. Same for men, same for women. Right. What is a must-have in your relationship? Not a you'd like, not you'd prefer it to be this way, not what you don't want, but what you must have in the relationship. Now, I'm not going to give you examples because I'll lead you to think something, because that could be anything. It could be a descriptive word, it could be a thing, it could be a place, it could be anything. And so I don't want to sort of give you clues, but think about that question. What is a must-have for you in a relationship? So rather than us give loads and loads of time for that answer, we'll just give you a little time just to think about that, jot a couple of notes down, and then maybe come back to it later to elaborate a little bit.
Look, I wouldn't
What
rush.
are the first things that come
rush
into your mind?
Honestly,
You
I'd
go away like you did.
Cogitate.
So you're different than me, different profile.
It's not just a couple of things.
So you'll either do it my way, which you've already jotted a couple of things down and thought, for God's
Frank
sake,
Sinatra did it his way.
God's sake, Nicki Vee, just get on with it. I've already got mine written down.
How many questions are there?
Or 6. Or you are a steadier pace person, like my gorgeous husband. We never call it slow, call it steady. And you're going to write the questions down and then you're going to go and think about it later or do it tomorrow, which is Sunday. Great. Second question. What is a must never for me in my relationship? What's a must never? What must never happen? What's a must never for me in my relationship? Again, not, what I wouldn't really like this, or I wouldn't really like that.
Yeah.
Really, the real third must is the most important part.
Well, I think when I did this, I literally started to, because I've been in like three relationships and they're all ended for various reasons and for various lengths of time.
Nothing to do with you then.
Yeah, no.
Joke.
It was, it's all my fault.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, look, I seriously wrote out like situations when it was like a must have and a must never have. I didn't just write a few words. I actually wrote big chunky bits going, yeah.
You did.
And that helped me paint a picture of what I did want, But
Exactly.
with the word must, it makes it much clearer. Much clearer than if it's what I'd like it to have. It's not like a vision of your relationship.
Yeah.
This is the word must, changes everything.
Yeah. Which, funny enough, you said that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, now, question number 3. Question number 3 is different for men and women. Now, before we go into a great long contentious thing about why it's different for men or women, let me just give you the highlights. So our experience is, after being with many, many, many couples, heterosexual couples, we always find that if a man focuses too much on his relationship life, women are probably going, what are you saying, Nicki Vee? How could you possibly say to tell men not to focus on their relationship? But listen to what I'm saying. If he focused too much on relationship life, he is being more in his feminine. So for men, hope you're listening now, we want you to answer the third question, is what is your vision for your life's purpose? For your life, okay? So it might have more in it than just the purpose, but it could also, sorry, Tony's just on Facebook, just seeing if there's any comments. So if you're a man, you're saying, this is my vision. We're suggesting here you write maybe a couple of paragraphs. This is my vision for the rest of my life. In other words, what am I going to do with my time? What's going to be my purpose, my career, my job, my business? What is, because this is a more masculine needs. Masculine needs are a fully masculine man knows where he's going and what he's going to do with his life. And believe me, if you're a man and you don't have any clue what the future holds for you, then you will not be able to give certainty to a woman. So you need to work on that. And believe me, if you want more help with that, have you done a video on the 10-10 movement about purpose?
Probably.
Something like that. Puts a comment in the box. We'll see later, I'm
We're
sure.
We're definitely not getting
saying,
comments,
can I have some more information about men on their purpose?
We'll have a look.
So, third question for men. What is your vision, men, for the future, for the purpose of your life? What's the vision for your life? Women, what is the vision of the future for your relationship? Right? Now, if you're not in a relationship, girls, before you start going, oh, I'm not in a relationship, what is your vision for your relationship life when you are in a relationship? Right? Again, a couple of paragraphs. And we've actually got, I actually wrote just in case you're a single woman, I wrote a book called When Will My Knight in Shining Armor Ever Come Along? And is my vision for the future, my future relationship. And it had in, how we are together, where we live, what we do, the whole of our life. Whereas the men's one is about his purpose or role in business. Or
just talking about that. So we're at 3 questions in now, yeah?
Yeah, we are.
3 more questions to go. But look, if you do want more purpose stuff and you've never done the 10-10 life check, then obviously go to www, just jot this down, www. 10 hyphen, good old fashioned hyphen, or a minus sign on the computer, 10, so it's 10 hyphen 10 dot life, life, yeah, 10 hyphen 10 not life, and take the life check, yeah. One of the questions there is about purpose, and there is it's
a video to go with each part.
Look, it's all complimentary because the 10-10 movement is all a charity, so all of the videos there are free, and you know anyway, look, just go there, do the check. It's very powerful stuff, and there's loads of videos connected to that which can help you in all various areas of your life.
Fantastic.
So question number 4.
Question number 4. Now, this is written, again, the same question to men or women, but what does, just getting the wording right in my mind, what is my ultimate partner must have for life? So remember, question 1 was, what's a must-have for me in my relationship? This is, what would my ultimate partner's must-haves in life be? Now, if you're in a relationship, still saying that, it's like, what are my, that's right now, I've got the wording right now. What are my ultimate partner's must-haves in life? Now, because if you're single, you're visualizing your ultimate partner, your ideal partner, the ultimate, the best partner. What's important to them? What's a must-have for them in life? Maybe jot down a few things, or as Tony said, do it later, really think about it. But if you're in a relationship, you still write that. Why? Because what are my ultimate partners must have in life? You're thinking about your partner and the very best they could be. In their very happiest, best state, what would be a must-have for them?
To be honest, this is one where you need to be, in great truth with yourself. So when I spent my 4 hours, this was the one where I started to realise, as I started to think of what I knew of her. We've been in a relationship for 6 months. I knew her pretty well, as you'd expect, reasonably well. And as I started to think about what she must have. I'm going, excuse me, excuse me, man sneeze. Yeah, what she really must have, I'm not sure that I can supply that. In fact, everything she must have is not really me. So, this was a real starting to get serious now.
Yeah, no, really important. And then the fifth question, again for men and women, saying, what are my ultimate partner, same thing, must never have in life? And I just think, I will give you one example because I think this is actually quite important and it might shock you. And that is, we've noticed lots of couples who get into relationships through lust. They fancy each other, they get together, and they do not see what is important to each other or what's a must never have. And then all of a sudden, the sort of, the honeymoon period's over, and all of a sudden they're going, yeah, but hold on a minute, that's not important to me in life, that's not a must have for me, or what you want, as Tony was saying, is a must never for me. And I think that's really, really important because it's like values. And funny enough, the one thing that's contentious, which maybe we'll make a Saturday Night Live about at some point in time, is funny enough, people's view of money can often be, like the question we had tonight was about age, and maybe we have a different model of the world when we're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 or 70. But actually, some people have a different model of money and how they spend it, what they do with it, how they want to live. That's a good example of what's a must-have or must-never for my ultimate partner in life, not just a relationship, but in life.
Hey, Sissy, we finally got a question. So we do know it's working. I was thinking
we had lots more people on.
Yes,
and I didn't know anybody was there.
Can you give an example?
Well, I'll give you an example now about this one question. So a must never would be for say you had woman, Izzy, like woman, and you said what a must never for my ultimate partner would be to not work, right? So that would be a good example of me. I'd be going like, for me to be with someone who didn't have a high work ethic, if you like, my view would be that could be listed in as a must-have for him, that he was on his. So I had like a must-have with me. I must be with a man that's on his purpose. He's like, I asked for a man on his purpose. I did not get that I would get one that's so on his purpose. I mean, this is the man who's like never thinks about anything else other than the purpose of his life, and me, obviously. Yeah. So
but actually, I can give a good example. This is where I actually said that. Look, this is where the truth really started to hit home.
With your example.
Yeah. So look, there was one fundamental, which is think about. Well, values are a big thing. I think we could do that another day because it's a big subject and takes a bit of time to do it well. But actually, you'll have habits, and if you're brought up in, like, we've got this 10-year age difference, but we've also got cultural differences. If you're somebody from a different country, then you've been brought up different rules. Well, you've got different language for starters. I didn't speak German. She spoke English, which is, common for us Brits. We all sort of think everybody should speak English. And I was rubbish at school at different languages. So, luckily she spoke English. But a child didn't speak English, so we had a whole communication situation. But no, one of the things that was very, very interesting, if you've got any habits, things that are really important to you that you either like doing or, they could be good or bad habits. I mean, look, they're just things you picked up. And one of the things that I have never done, look, there's many things I have done that haven't been great, but one of the things I was very blessed to do was to have a cigarette when I was about 13 on a boat. We were going on some sort of trip to France, you went on the school. And I had a cigarette and it made me so sick. It was probably the boat that made me sick. But I thought it was a cigarette, so I've never smoked. Now, when I met this girl, I didn't know when I first met her that she smoked. But of course she smoked, and she smoked quite a lot. Now, so that for me is like, it's really difficult. If you're not a smoker and you're with a smoker, and you've never smoked, that's a big challenge. Now, she did.
So must never could
so
be
really,
smoking.
you know, my truth was, you know, I don't really want to be with somebody that's got that habit. Look, I've got bad habits. She could write a whole load of things about me that are unacceptable, but I'm just using that as an example. That really is that a must never have for me. Anyway, bless her, she did everything she could to give up smoking, but it was really difficult for her, and actually she really liked it. It was part of her culture, the way she hung out, what she did, you know. So it's like, you know, anyway, just use that as one example.
No, but I think it's a really good example, and other couple of examples which maybe actually you might think about when you think about must-haves and must-nevers in your relationship as well, is things like smoking, things like drinking, things like health. You know, having you know, somebody who really, really thinks about their health, their food, their you know, their exercise, is not going to be with going to be like with somebody who really just wants to, you know. That sounds like us tonight on the couch watching a film with a pizza. But we are into health, massively into health at the moment. So that would be a good example. Another good example that I was just thinking about, and we've actually had couples where this is such a problem for them, is one person is very relaxed and laid back about, say, like tidiness in the house, and someone that they're with, and again, they get together, they don't really think about that. Somebody else is like, likes everything to be absolutely pristine and clean all the time. Now, you know, this is like a deal breaker for people eventually.
It can be. Anyway,
and
I think it's just good to get it
things.
down. So a few examples.
Great.
So what question are we on?
We're on now. Question 6.
Question 6, last one.
Last question. Now, this is a bit of a personal development question. And let me just get the wording right in my mind. I might have to have a couple of tries at it because I haven't done it for ages. So we've had the whole must have, must never in your relationship, the vision of your life or the vision of your relationship, your ultimate partners must-haves and must-nevers. And then this one is, who do you have to become in order to live this life? And when it says, who do you have to become in order to live this life, it means that you look at all the other things that you've written and said, well, like, so, this is very, very common. Somebody might write down, my ultimate partners must have, you know, this kind of work ethic, or the desire to travel, or maybe the opposite, the desire to settle down, stay in the same place, you know, to live not in a noisy town, you know, but to be out in the country, or things like that. And you may not be quite there yet. In which case, who do you have to become to attract that person? Who do you have to become so that you live that life? And therefore, as Tony said right at the beginning, when this person who's living the best life they can, this is why it's so in tune with 10-10 movement, this person's living the life as best they can to a 10 out of 10 life, meets with this person, and by the way, if you're already in a relationship, you can have a massive effect on the relationship by you living higher towards a 10 out of 10. The great thing is, this can often hold your partner to a higher standard. But I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes we have come across people who have really worked on themselves to get their life and to become, as that last question says, who do you have to become to live this way? They've become, and they've gone to a next level of standard of living for themselves, or the standards they hold themselves to, and it's caused a gulf between them and their partner. And that is a truism. You know, I don't want to, you know, not tell you the truth here, because sometimes people decide to develop themselves, and actually their partner loves that and starts to develop themselves as well, or they do it together, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, if you are here tonight, and you are with a partner, and you can explain to them that you would like, you know, it's not about manipulation or trying, but that you would like them to do this kind of relationship check-in, we call it relationship check, with them. The best thing for you to do is to do it together, because then you can have a conversation about it. And obviously Tony's telling you a situation when it's not been good, But then with many, many couples, it brings them to a new level of honesty about what they want in a relationship, about what they don't want in the relationship, about what their desires are, their values, their vision for the relationship. But also that sixth question is their commitment. They're sharing with their partner their commitment to them improving themselves or personally developing themselves. And their partner might go, wow, well, you know, either how can I support you with that? Or they might go, well, like, let's do it together.
We've got one.
We
definitely got one lady at the moment who's been working on herself a while, and she's going, yeah, I'm doing this, but my husband's not, and it's, you know, it's really tough. I really want him to do it, but I don't want to nag him to do it with me. And I've always said, look, if you become that person that you want to, you know, you go, this is how I want my life to be, but I'm not that person that can deliver that or live that. And then you step into that and live that. Then actually what's happened over probably 6-9 months, she wasn't attached. She goes, I'm doing it anyway. But her husband only recently said, you know what, it's like, you're like a different person doing all this stuff. And I'm loving that. So I think we should do it together. So, like, you know, that's why I go, look, you know, you have to be brave and step up and go, yeah, look, I'm not going to live in a place I don't want to live. I'm going to live the life I want to live. And you just have to trust that your partner's likely to go with you. And I just think back when we used to do lots of single girl stuff, and we get them to write a vision. We called it a pink vision for their life, you know. And I always say that I never saw a girl write a vision where she said, you know, I want to be with some really horrible, nasty bloke. You know, I want it to have a relationship that's like really hard work and horrible. You know, no one ever wrote that. They always wrote blue sky and sunshine, white fluffy clouds and all stuff like that. But actually, always attracted men that were, you know, not behaving themselves in a way that's like very loving, should we say? So, you know, our argument was, look, if you want to, you know, meet this man, like you've written a vision of what you want, but you're attracting this. Then that's because you need to get yourself here, because the men do exist. You know, I remember girls saying to me, yeah, but these men, they're like, you know, unicorns, they don't exist. And I'm going, they do, but you have to go where they hang out. So I do believe from a single girl's viewpoint, this is a really, well, even a single man's viewpoint, if you keep attracting women that are not great women, or you're not having the experience you want to have, it's because you've set yourself in the wrong zone, you know. So you've got to, you know, that's why writing a vision is such a powerful thing, I think. And then you go, well, what's my truth? Am I living that myself? Because if I'm not living that myself, I need to step up, find out what it takes. What could I do to live the life so that the person that I want to be with, I find them. Nature delivers them, you know, so it delivers them to you. But that all sounds a bit woo-woo, but actually the truth is there's quite a bit of science there.
That's good. Izzy's saying we did the ratings that you shared last week, because we must have asked some questions about.
Yes.
We did all the
0 to 10
we did the 0
stuff,
to 10 on the intimacy and on your life and everything, and it was good insights. Thank
Come
you.
on, well done. Thank you,
and
Izzy.
actually, we hadn't talked about what we were going to do tonight, did we? But we're talking about the age gap and the things that can be challenging with, and how to. Well, I suppose what you said earlier, really to get in that place of love and unconditional love and understanding of each other is going to bring you. But even so, really, I mean, maybe this might sound a little bit tough, but like if you're in a relationship and it's not giving you the joy that you want, and clearly it's not giving the partner. I mean, we always ask the same question on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being this relationship is not meeting your needs and you're not happy in it, or 10 is you're so happy in it and all your masculine or feminine needs are being met. Where are you? Right? Always, so often, the people that we talk to are low, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And then when I ask them, well, where do you think your partner is? They normally imagine their partner's a little bit higher because they're not asking for help or they're not talking to somebody. When we actually get the partner together, if we do talk to both of the people you'll always find out the partner's low as well.
Yeah, and I think you've got to trust. Look, I think if your relationship's not working, what happens is you sort of come apart a bit and then you sort of drift a bit, don't you? And you start to have You start to meet your own needs. That's a sign that your relationship's not good. Is that, you know, the guy starts to go out with his mates more, or you start to have your own life. You start to be two people living, sharing a house, rather than two people having a loving, intimate relationship. So you know it's not working then. But what we tend not to want to do is sort of, you know, we're British. You know, not everybody's British, but the Brits in general don't want to rock the boat. So they go, well, this is better than nothing, so I'll stick with where I am. Yeah. Or, you know, this sort of stuff's a bit taboo. We were taught not to talk about this, really. Or we weren't taught. We just observed that this isn't a subject that's talked about.
Yeah.
So, Izzy, well done. If you know, shared a bit together and you'd share a bit of truth and love, honestly, it's like there's a weight drops off of you as you share a bit of truth and what have you. So, any more questions, please type away. What's your biggest relationship challenge right now? It's a great question. So if you're open to share that, we're open to give you some insights into, you know, what we think that you might be able to do about that as some sort of movie in the right direction. What other questions did you have?
Well, I've been talking to a few people this week, actually, and I was just thinking about that. Spoke to someone earlier this week who was really confused. And I think that is actually quite an interesting space to be in about a relationship. And I think it does, you know, it is common with everything we've already talked about tonight. Somebody's kind of not sure, is this relationship for me? It gets complicated. There might be another person that person's communicating with. That can be quite common. Interestingly, with lockdown, some people who might not be seeing the person that they talk to at work. Now, I'm not suggesting an affair here or infidelity, but that could be the case. But I mean, somebody that you've got a real friendship with at work, either the same sex or the opposite sex, and you are always talking to that person about your relationship and about your life, and you find yourself sharing with them much, much more than you ever share with your partner. And I think this is actually really, really common. And it gets people to that confused thing that sort of says, you know, why is it I can't have the relationship with my partner that I've got with this person that I chat to, or that I get on with really well, like a best friend or a work colleague? And I think that, you know, that has been a bit tough in lockdown with people. Or clearly, if you were having any kind of intimate friendship, but if you were having even just a non-intimate friendship.
So thank you, Izzy, for being so attentive tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody else is struggling typing their questions in, but yours are coming through loud and clear. So lockdown is the biggest challenge as we are doing long term. This gives it even more of a struggle of being together, but we both agree on it with the rating.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week, Izzy, as well. I think long distance, I think, is what you talked about last week. Maybe you'll just put something in the message. But I think, you know, what this has brought up is that if we're not together, you know, because we're long distance, together, or we normally talk to somebody about our relationship, or we normally talk to somebody else about our relationship, and we're just not communicating as a couple as well as we could be. Either we're talking to somebody else, or we're too long distance, or, as Tony said, you know, it's gone a bit sort of, you know, not so good, and the guy's going out a lot or watching sport all the time, and the woman's all like chatting to her friends or looking after the kids and all that.
One thing that's very interesting about long distance relationships is, you know, now call me old fashioned, that's okay if you want to do that, but, you know, in the days like go back 100 years and a bit more to the First World War, there's no communications at all. Men are separated from women. You know, all the men are, you know, fighting and what have you, and the women are all at home. And what was very interesting in those days, and I still believe this can work in the modern world, but because we have so much tech, it's like we can turn the tech on and see them, But I do believe, and I heard this from some other guys, not particularly a relationship person, but he's a sort of a bit of a more of a money guru type guy. But he had a big, you know, relationship change in his life, found a new woman. And one thing he said that always has stuck with me, that's kept them really connected, was to stay a bit old-fashioned. And so every day he would write her a physical note. Now, we've done a lot of that, haven't we? Nicki writes me wonderful notes. She's the best card writer. I'm not really a birthday card person, am I? But I write a little book normally if I'm going to do it, but I don't always do it. But Nicki writes me beautiful notes. And I do believe a bit of old-fashioned is really a good connector. So I think sometimes the tech's too easy, you know. We're there, but look, there's definitely a challenge in the modern world where intimacy is a lot more, let's say it's more easy. We're a bit like, 100 years ago, there wasn't any contraception that was, well, not easy contraception as there is today. So I believe that intimacies, we're much quicker with intimacy. We're probably much more, there's a lot more low energy sex goes on, as I call it, or sometimes we call it sexual athletics goes on, which isn't really what I call the fullest sense of love. That's more the low level lusty love, which meets a sort of a low energy sexual need, but it doesn't have the magic of a great intimate relationship, or where there's intimate love. Yeah. Now, in the old days where they didn't do the intimate love so much, so it was a bit more seen as special, so to speak. But when they were not together and they couldn't communicate easily, they'd sit and write these long letters. And you can read letters from the First World War, and some of them are like unbelievable.
Almost like poetry, aren't
they? But what happened is there was a sort of a different type of intimacy together. Yes. Now, whether that's, you call that love or you call that lust, but there was something different, which I believe we've lost today. But look, that doesn't mean you can't go back to writing a few notes.
Yeah,
because we do that, and that works really well.
Also, I think just as thinking about it, what's really interesting when we talk to couples is they'll go, well, yeah, either, during the day when one of us is doing our work and one of the other, we don't really communicate. But then when we get together in the evening, we watch the telly and we have a meal together, but we don't really communicate. But even then, we'll talk to couples where they communicate, but they communicate about things that are not particularly relationship. Like maybe, there's a big, like we always talk about Chris Rock, don't we? He makes great jokes about relationships, and he basically goes, he's got this joke where he goes that like the guy comes home, and he opens the front door, and before he can get the front door open, literally she's talking, telling him about everything, and he's rehearsing, just going, oh yes, oh interesting, but he's not really listening. And then the woman starts talking about work and about how this woman at work that, and his answer, I always laugh at this bit, she's going, oh, this woman, and I don't like her, and she said this and she said that, and he always goes, I told you that bitch was crazy. Always makes me laugh, that little bit. But actually, even though this is a joke that Chris Rock says, it can be very true. It's like people will talk about their day and about their work and about the kids and about that. They don't talk to each other, which is what Tony was just saying about that love letter.
I'll give you an example today of what Nicki did, which was absolutely brilliant. And she had to encourage me a bit, I have to say, because I was looking at the football results. Saturday, I like a bit of football. I'm just checking, and I'm sort of I'm an inherited Villa supporter, because obviously I'm from London, so I live near Crystal Palace. I'm always more looking at the Crystal Palace, but Villa's on, and that's Nicki's and Nick's team. So I'm always watching, and it was on. Anyway, that's finished, and I'm looking at the other results. And then she's bought out this book, which I'd encourage you to buy. It's a bit of a shout out for Facebook, really.
I know.
Anyway, look, Facebook did this thing. I don't know whether they still do it, but anyway, before Christmas, Nicki got this Facebook ad to say, look, you can take all the pictures you've ever put into Facebook, and then you can't do much choosing.
Can't do any choosing.
They create,
and it's not all the pictures. They just grab a load of pictures out of your thing for the last 10 years, this was, and they literally take them randomly and put them in a book.
Yeah, anyway.
And it's fabulous.
It was how much? 70 quid or something ridiculous?
No, it was about 40, 50 quid.
Anyway, look,
and then I bought the calendar as well, which was 20 quid.
Anyway, that's all been torn up. That is stuck on the door now. But anyway, look, that's all great. It's all perfect. But anyway, look, Nicki said to me, I've never looked at the book. It looks amazing. The front cover looks amazing.
It's really good.
Anyway, inside are all these stunning pictures. I mean, stunning pictures.
It's
that
like
are all on Nicki's
story
Facebook.
About life.
Yeah. And honestly,
10 years of our life.
She said, look, do you want a cup of tea? And I've gone, yeah, we're supposed to be doing healthy tea, but we've had a Zag day today. So anyway, I'm going, yeah, I'll have a cup of fruit tea or whatever it was, so then she's gone, oh, can we look through this? And I'm going, well, we really have to. I was looking. Anyway, she encouraged me to do it. And I have to say, it took more than 20 minutes. I mean, more than 20
Did
minutes.
it?
It did. It was probably half an hour, 45 minutes. But we went through this photo album from Facebook, yeah. But we were so connected to each other watching it. It's like, and of course, it's like, you know, there's flooding back memories. You know, you don't put crappy photographs in Facebook, do you?
No.
You put the photographs you love. So, of course, they picked out all these images that we absolutely love. So I think, look, you're putting time aside. Saturday is our day off. We call it Tony
And it
and
just made us so look at our memories.
Yeah.
And
we call it Tony and Nicki time.
Yeah.
And, you know, that means we don't do anything else. Well, we do talk a bit about work because we can't help ourselves.
we always do.
But anyway, it was a bit of Tony and Nicki time. And that was like special. So I think this is whole, you know, having time out where you call it, you know, whatever your two names are, you know, it's our time. I know if you've got kids and that, you need to rent them out. And have some downtime. You know, I know that's a bit more difficult, but you should have a bubble, for God's sake, you should have a bubble. And honestly, I think this is it. This is what you need to do that connects you. That just looking at those photos connected us massively because we're looking back up 10 years of our life. Anyway, look, there you go.
But do you know what? It's really funny. It's a bit like we don't really do it so much nowadays. The other thing I think is really connects you is that when we first got together, and for many, many years, we did magic moments every night.
Yeah.
And so, and like we've always had a bit of an unwritten thing that we don't go to bed in, you know, having had a fallout. Not that we really fall out that much, but, you know, we've had our moments in 17 years. And I don't think we've ever really been to sleep in really bad energy with each other. We might have been a bit tut-tutty, and what did Mark used to say? Show her the arse. Sorry, there was a guy came to one of our events once, and he said, "Look, when I'm in a bad mood," he said, "I just like turn over and show her the arse." I've never forgotten that. But like what we used to do is say, like, you know, what was your magic moment of the day? And so that's something you could do.
To be honest,
you could
I
do
got
it
a
if
bit
you're
lazy.
long distance.
But it's great.
It doesn't matter. Just
It's
what
great.
was your magic moment of the day? And of course, Tony used to ask me, "What's your magic moment of the day?" And I'd be going, "Oh, that. Oh, I love that." And then we did that, and
I'm
I
really
love
tired.
that. And I'd say, "What was your magic moment of the day?" And you'd go,
My
"What?"
quick answer is same as yours.
Same as yours.
But anyway, that's it.
Or
But
you'd have
it
gone
was
to
fun.
sleep by the time I finished
It went on
talking.
for a bit of a long time.
Yeah.
But look, it's
But
all
look-
great. Look, anything to connect you, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for love and connection at a very high level. So, but look, you have to create that, you know,
That's
and
right.
you got to bring your part to it. So, you know, you've got to have, you know, look, fun is one of my words. I know I'm always saying that people love having fun. Not everybody loves having fun. But laughing, you know,
I do.
laughing. We love to laugh together, even if it means we have to turn something on. And we'll watch something comedy, you know, watch the news and watch the energy go down because like that's all death at 10 stuff. Watch something funny, laugh together, and then you know that releases your love hormones and chemicals. Anyway, look, it's we've gone on for an hour. Can you believe that?
Yes.
You can believe that. Well,
Yes.
anyway, look, I
Lovely.
hope you got something out of that. And apologies if look, Izzy's been like a godsend because she's typed loads of stuff in there and she shared what she
But,
did
you
last
know,
week, which is
Maybe
great.
people just want to listen
So, yeah,
sometimes.
look, just
It's
go-
okay.
I
We
think-
have no rules.
Let's encourage you to answer the 6 questions. And maybe, you know, if you want to share any of that with us, then
Yeah.
please go to the YouTube channel and stick notes on there. Or you've got Tony Vee's, you know, Facebook, Nicki's
Yeah.
Facebook. We got the
If you
1010
want the
Facebook
Knight in
page.
Shining Armour ebook, if you want the purpose
Yeah, well, there'll be some videos. Go to the
video on 1010 on your
1010.
purpose.
So over the website 10-10.live, go and do the life check, then you get some free videos.
Yeah.
And then I think look, there's over 70 odd videos on there. That'll keep you quiet for a while. So maybe turn Netflix off or Amazon Prime or whatever it is you watch. If you're watching all the shoot 'em up stuff and stuff that takes your energy down, or you keep watching the news, see how many people have died, you know, stop doing that. And get on the 1010 and start doing a bit of personal development, getting it together, have a bit of fun, and that's it really. So next week, you know, put a little marker down, pop it in your diary, whatever
7
you've
o'clock.
got to do. We're going to do it at 7 o'clock.
Might already be in our dressing gowns though.
You never know. You never know. We love doing that. We used to call it In Bed with Tony and Nicki, which is a bit of fun, isn't it? So
It is.
anyway, so yeah, thank you so much. Lots of people turned up tonight. Sorry if you were typing and we didn't see it. If we do find your type-ins anywhere, we'll answer your questions anyway.
Yeah.
And feel free to type on the feeds any questions you got.
And send us
We'll
some
answer them
questions
anyway.
for next week.
Yeah, anything you want to know or anything you want us to chat about, then just ask away. We're here for you. So that's it from Tony Nicki Vee on whatever it is, Saturday the 6th of February already. Yeah, been amazing to have you, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.